Alright guys, eyes open in California here. I'm redoing this video because I remembered something. This is a dream that I entitled Fake Rapture, I don't know what. I had this dream when I was in 7th grade. And I remember it like yesterday. So some people saw the video, so I'll just say the dream. Okay, so here's my dream. It's summertime. I'm living in Ceres, California. It's probably 3 p.m., maybe 4 p.m. We get hit with a humongous earthquake, like humongous. Just some background story. I lived in the Bay Area in '89 when we had that big Loma Prieta, the one during the World Series, you guys might remember. But this earthquake was way bigger and way longer. So in my dream, we ran out of the house and the earthquake was still going on and it went on for a long time. And then when it finally stopped, and there's some jet fighters come over the Sierra Nevadas going west to San Francisco. Now San Francisco is about 90 miles west of me. So it comes over the East Mountains and heads west. And then as soon as they pass by, and there's a lot of them, anywhere from a dozen to 20 airplanes. And then they pass the mountains and all the mountains open up like volcanoes, right? So at that point, the jets go and we're like, whoa, something's going on. So in my dream, my mama, she runs inside the house and she turns on the news. And she tells us to come look at the news. So we go in there, look at the news. Godzilla shows up out of the Pacific Ocean, pops out of the ocean, grabs the Golden Gate Bridge. So this Godzilla is on the Pacific Ocean side, not the Bay side, and it's closest to the peninsula of San Francisco. It's not on the opposite side on the North Bay. So it's what's considered West Bay. So it's right outside of the Golden Gate Bridge, grabbing it and shaking it. And on the news, the jets that just flew over us, they started engaging Godzilla. So that's how that part went. Now the sun is starting to go down and it's about to go over the horizon, and the stars, you're starting to see stars, and the sun starts going a little bit lower and you start seeing stars. But some of these stars were not like the other stars. They were like lights, and they were starting to move in the sky, and people were wondering, looking up there like, are those stars moving? So they were moving and they were not stars. So it's probably about, I would say 2 hours until, or maybe an hour until total darkness. And now these lights that we saw were in the air and they're like crafts. And I just want to reiterate from that other video that these crafts, I never did see a shape of them. There was no shape to them. It was just a ball of light. And they made no noise. I remember that. They made zero noise. They were silent. So all the neighbors start running out there and they're like, take me. And they're getting zapped. These lights are zapping people and they're just disappearing. So my dad, my very own pop, he runs out there and he yells something like, take me. And they zapped him and he disappeared. And everybody in my family ran inside and is hiding. Right? So here's the part that I remembered. I remembered this yesterday. Okay, so the neighbors are all running around. They're getting zapped. I mean, we could see them. We could see them just getting zapped. And they're disappearing. Like, they're literally disappearing. And I couldn't understand why people kept running outside because I didn't know anything about God. I didn't know anything about the Bible until about 4 years ago. About 4 years ago is when the light switch went on. So now in my dream, it's pitch black outside, right? And it's like the beginning of that phase of night where it's pitch black, the sun's long gone, and my mom, my older brother, my little brother, and my little sister were looking out the window, looking through the blinds, and one of the light thing comes, like, if I had to guess its elevation, I would say it was about 50 feet. It's about 50 feet, and it zaps all four of them through the front window. But here's the part that I remembered. The windows were open. So as you think about your front window on your house, both of those sliders were open, and my family members were standing at the flanks of the window. Therefore, there was no glass in between them and the light source. They were standing where the screens were, peeking through the windows, and they got zapped. So I'll tell you the significance of that detail that I remembered yesterday here in a bit. So now in 7th grade, my whole family got zapped right in front of me. And I'm hiding behind a couch. And I waited about 2 hours, and now it's probably somewhere before midnight. And I run out in the backyard, and I figured, at the time I'm 12 or 13 years old, however old I was in 7th grade. I run outside, and I finally said, you know what am I going to do by myself? My whole family's gone. Like, I may as well join them. So I run out there and I start cursing this light thing, or the lights. And as soon as I run outside, I run out into the dirt and out the backyard, and that light just gets a beat on me, and it's right on top of me. It shines a light on me, and I'm cursing at it. However a 7th grade kid would be cursing at it. I'm sure there wasn't very many bad words, just a bunch of kid talk. But then I heard a woman who was calling me. She was in the backyard under a bed. In my dream, there was a bed there. In reality, there's no bed there. So in my dream, she's calling me in Spanish, telling me to hide under the bed. So I jumped under the bed, and there's a woman, early 30s, Mexican woman, and she tells me to pray. She grabs her rosary, and I didn't understand what the point of that was because I didn't know anything about God. So she tells me again to pray. So I grabbed her rosary and I started to pray, and then I woke up. And when I woke up, I was soaked from head to toe, and my bed was soaked like a sponge. You could wring it out. And here's the detail that I remembered about that dream that yesterday was that the windows were open. And here's why it makes sense, or here's why it's important. Because those crafts, those whatever they were, I'm going to call them fake Rapture crafts, because now that I know what's really going on, I understand the government's going to fake a rapture. That's why they're doing the UFO disclosure, because they're going to have to build the narrative before the rapture happens. And there's going to be a rapture. They're trying to build the narrative so that they have an explanation for it. But here's the detail. Those things had thermal vision. There was no glass in between my 4 family members that were inside the house that were looking out the window. The windows were open. There was no glass in between them and the craft. Now, if you don't know anything about thermal, if you put a window in between you and the thermal lens, you're invisible. Your heat signature is invisible. As long as you're away from the window and you're not close enough to heat the window up, you're invisible. But in my dream, they got zapped through the window. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why they got zapped through the window in pitch black darkness. Well, it was thermal. So for anybody who's watched the other video, I'm telling you, those things have thermal. So the whole span of my dream went from like 3 p.m. to about midnight. So that's a 9-hour, maybe 4 p.m. to midnight, 8 or 9 hour span in that dream. I don't know what happened the next day. I don't know how long that carried on, that fake invasion. I don't know how long it carried on. All I know is my dream was from about right before dinner time to about midnight. So I just wanted to come out here and say that when this happens, they're going to have thermal. You're not going to be able to hide in the dark from these things. They're going to see your heat signature. Just like the movie The Predator, how the Predator alien could see your heat signature. That's what those things have. So that's what I wanted to change. Thank you.